All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to unpack a really powerful framework for achieving long-term success. And it all starts by flipping one of our biggest assumptions on its head, the idea that we just don't have enough time.
Just let that sink in for a second. We all feel it, don't we? That constant pressure, the clock ticking away, this feeling that we're always behind. But this quote, it makes you stop and think. The problem isn't the number of hours we have. Geniuses throughout history got the same 24 we do. So the real secret, it has to be in how we use them.
So here's our game plan for today. We're going to start by shattering that no-time myth. Then we'll dive deep into the power of mindset, uncover the 4 pillars of a truly intentional life, and wrap up with a wild strategy that might just replace your to-do list for good.
Right, so here's the first big idea. Successful people don't magically find more time, they create more valuable time. It's not about the quantity of hours, it's all about the quality. And to really get this, we can look back to the ancient Greeks. They actually had 2 completely different words for time.
And this right here, this is a total game changer. On one side, you've got Chronos. That's the clock time, the tick-tock, the 24 hours everyone gets. But then you have Kairos. Kairos is different. It's about quality. It's that perfect opportune moment. And see how the question changes? It goes from what time is it to what should I do with this moment? That's the key.
Okay, but before we can even think about tapping into that Kairos time, we have to get our own internal software sorted out. And I'm talking about our mindset. It's literally the lens through which we see everything, and it completely dictates how we use our time. There's this incredible story about 2 brothers that just illustrates this perfectly.
So check this out. There is this fascinating study of 2 identical twin brothers. They had the exact same genes, grew up in the same house, and had the same alcoholic father. Every external factor you can think of was identical. And yet, their lives went in completely opposite directions. How is that even possible? Well, the first brother, he looked at his dad and basically said, well, that's my fate. He saw his environment as a life sentence that he just couldn't escape. That's a textbook example of a fixed mindset, the belief that his path was already decided for him. But then you have the second brother. He sees the exact same thing, the same childhood, and he comes to the completely opposite conclusion. For him, his father's actions weren't a destiny. They were a lesson, a powerful reason to choose a totally different life. And that is a growth mindset in action. And that right there, that's the whole ballgame. A growth mindset isn't about some kind of magical thinking. It's the simple, powerful belief that you can improve. It's seeing a challenge not as a wall, but as a ramp. It's knowing your potential isn't set in stone. Okay, so once we've got that growth mindset locked in as our foundation, how do we actually build a life that's rich in this Kairos time? Well, it turns out it comes down to 4 key pillars. Think of them as high-yield investments in yourself.
Now, these might look super simple, right? Reading, exercise, sleep, relationships. But don't just brush these off as good habits. They are so much more than that. These are the 4 most powerful investments you can make to literally increase the value and the density of your time. They are the absolute bedrock of a successful life.
So let's start at the bottom with the physical foundation, the 2 pillars that honestly power everything else you do. And let me be clear, these aren't luxuries you get to when you have time. They are completely non-negotiable if you want to perform at your best.
In our culture of constant hustle, this next idea sounds almost radical. Sleep isn't a liability, it's a superpower. We're taught that it's a waste of precious time, but the truth is, it's one of the most productive things you can possibly do. It's not about being lazy, it's about being strategic.
And look, the data backs this up big time. When you're fully rested, you are literally 2 to 3 times more effective. Just think about that for a second. That means those 8 hours of sleep aren't lost time. They're an investment that makes your other 16 hours that much more powerful.
And then you've got exercise. This one's what some call a keystone habit. It's like the first domino in a long line. It doesn't just make you healthier physically. It kicks off this incredible chain reaction that makes it easier to eat better, sleep more deeply, and focus more intensely on everything else.
All right, so we've got our physical base covered. Now let's build on top of that with the 2 pillars that are going to be the growth engine for your personal and your professional life.
Reading is maybe the greatest life hack there is. It's the ultimate shortcut. It's the engine that fuels your intellect, challenges what you think you know, and reinforces that growth mindset we talked about. You can download decades of someone's wisdom in just a few hours. It's incredible. And finally, our last pillar, relationships.
But here's the twist. This isn't about networking or what you can get from people. It's about being a giver, someone who offers help and value without keeping score, without expecting anything back right away. That's how you build a real powerful network that acts as a stepping stone to opportunities you can't even imagine.
All right, this is where it all comes together. We're about to get to the final piece of this puzzle, and it's an idea that's going to totally flip how you think about productivity and what you should be doing every day.
So here's the big takeaway. Forget your to-do list for a second. Seriously. Instead, start by getting crystal clear on who you want to become, your future self. Once you have that vision, every decision you make becomes incredibly simple. You just ask, does this get me closer to that person or further away?
Okay, so this whole future self thing forces you to ask some pretty weird questions. Like, let's take video games. For most of us, trying to be productive, that would go straight onto the not-to-do list, right? It just seems like a classic waste of time.
But the person who came up with this framework, he shares this really personal story. One of his biggest goals for his future self is simple: to be a dad who's like a friend to his son. That's a high priority for him.
And boom, that's where it all clicks. In that context, spending a couple of hours gaming with his son isn't a waste of time at all. It's a direct, high-priority investment in his future self. It's not a distraction from the work, it is the work. So, I'm going to leave you with this question to chew on. Take a look at your own not-to-do list. What's on there that might actually be a secret, high-priority investment in your future self? The answer to that could honestly change everything.